Hey guys, tonight we're stepping into something a little unusual. Imagine a world where the judgments and opinions of others no longer stick to you. A world where criticism, gossip, or even those side-eye looks just slide off like water off a duck's feathers. If you've ever wished you could find that unshakable calm, this is your place. Because honestly, if you let every little thing bother you, you probably wouldn't survive a single Monday morning commute. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And while you're at it, let me know in the comments where you're tuning in from and what time it is right now. It's always beautiful to imagine all of us, spread across different places, sharing this moment together. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. Imagine yourself sitting quietly, the noise of the day fading into the background. You've been carrying stress like a heavy backpack, and now, slowly, you're setting it down. In this gentle space, we'll explore 8 powerful Buddhist lessons that help you act as if nothing bothers you. Lessons not about ignoring life, but about meeting it with the calm of a mountain and the clarity of still water. Take a deep breath, let your shoulders soften, and settle in. This isn't about rushing anywhere. It's about learning to let go, laugh a little, and rediscover the quiet strength that's already within you. The journey begins now, and you don't need to be perfect, you just need to be present. 1. Do not hate those who hate you. Picture this. Someone cuts you off in traffic, slams their horn, and gives you that classic one-finger salute. Instinctively, your chest tightens, your face gets hot, and the urge to snap back feels almost irresistible. Hate, anger, resentment, it all bubbles up like a pot boiling over. That's natural, but here's the twist. Buddhism teaches us that when we carry hate, it's like drinking poison and expecting the other person to get sick. The first lesson tonight is simple in words, but challenging in practice. Do not hate those who hate you. When people throw shade, criticize, or try to drag you down, what they're really doing is handing you a bag of their own suffering. They're already weighed down by pain, fear, or misunderstanding. Their harshness is a mirror of what's inside them, not a reflection of you. But here's the good news. You don't have to pick up that bag. You can just let it fall to the ground. Hatred doesn't fix anything. It doesn't solve injustice. It doesn't make you stronger, and it certainly doesn't bring you peace. Instead, it eats at your own mind, distracting you from the things that actually matter. Your joy, your goals, your relationships, and those quiet little moments of laughter that make life sweet. Think about it. How many hours have been stolen from your day because your mind replayed what someone said? I can't believe she insulted me in front of everyone. How dare he look down on me? It's like an unpaid internship for your enemy. You're giving them free rent inside your head. And honestly, that rent space is prime real estate. You deserve to keep it for better things. This doesn't mean you're supposed to roll over or pretend harmful behavior is okay. Compassion isn't the same as being a doormat. What it means is this. You acknowledge the harm, but you don't let it infect your spirit. You recognize that the other person's actions are born from their own suffering, and instead of throwing more fire onto the blaze, you refuse to light the match. In fact, by choosing not to hate, you reclaim your power. You send a message to yourself most of all, that your peace isn't for sale. Imagine being at a family dinner, where your uncle decides to bring up politics, and the room heats up faster than an oven on Thanksgiving. Instead of arguing, you take a breath, sip your drink, and keep your inner calm. You walk away later without that emotional hangover, while everyone else is still fuming. That's real strength. The Buddha's wisdom here is timeless. Hatred never ends hatred. Only love, compassion, and patience can do that. It's like breaking a cycle. When you refuse to respond with hate, you become the quiet drop of water that cools the fire. And strangely enough, that calm can ripple out and shift the whole room, the whole relationship, maybe even the whole day. So next time someone throws their negativity at you at work, online, or even at home, try this experiment. Instead of clapping back, just pause. Notice their pain, not your anger. Ask yourself, do I really want to spend my energy on this? 9 times out of 10, the answer is no. And in that choice, you've already won. Let yourself imagine walking through life like that, untouched by random insults, gossip, or petty drama. Your peace becomes unshakable, like a mountain no storm can move. And here's the funny part. People will notice. They'll wonder how you stay calm when others are losing it. You might even inspire them to try the same. So tonight, let this principle sink in. Hate only chains you to the very thing you want to escape. Compassion, on the other hand, sets you free. And speaking of freedom, what if I told you that the key to lasting peace isn't just letting go of hate, but also learning the quiet power of humility? That's where we're headed next. 2. Practice humility. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine the kind of person who walks into a room and instantly changes the energy. Not because they're loud, not because they demand attention, but because there's something grounding about them. They speak softly, they listen fully, and they carry themselves with a quiet confidence that makes you feel safe. That's humility in action. Humility isn't about shrinking yourself down or pretending you're less than you are. It's not about denying your accomplishments or playing small so that others feel comfortable. True humility, as the Buddha taught, is when wisdom shows itself not through endless words, but through peaceful actions, through love, and through fearlessness. In a culture where people often measure value by how much noise they make, humility is like a refreshing silence that lets truth rise to the surface. Think about the last time you met someone who couldn't stop bragging. Maybe it was a co-worker who listed every tiny achievement at the Monday meeting. Or maybe it was that friend on social media posting every hour about how amazing their life is. At first, it can be entertaining, but after a while, the noise becomes exhausting. Contrast that with someone who doesn't announce every victory, but whose presence makes you feel heard and respected. Which one lingers in your mind longer? That quiet strength, that's humility. Humility opens the door to genuine connection. When we let go of arrogance, we make room to actually listen, to learn, and to see beyond ourselves. Imagine sitting across from someone who doesn't just wait for their turn to talk, but actually listens to you, hears the tremble in your voice, notices the story behind your words, and gives you space to be real. That's what humility creates. It creates space. In practice, humility means knowing that wisdom is not about showing off how much you know, but about being willing to learn at every step. Even when you've been through tough experiences, even when you've gathered knowledge, there's always more to uncover. Humility says, I don't have all the answers, and that's okay. And in that openness, life becomes lighter, less about proving and more about growing. There's a strange kind of humor in it too. We all know that one person who corrects everyone else's grammar at the dinner table or always has to be the expert in the room. They cling to being right because deep down, being wrong feels terrifying. Humility flips that around. It's the freedom to laugh at yourself when you stumble, to admit when you don't know something, and to embrace the awkwardness of learning as part of the human adventure. That kind of self-acceptance not only makes you more approachable, it makes life itself easier to carry. When humility guides us, relationships become softer. Pride builds walls, but humility builds bridges. It doesn't mean you let others walk over you. It means you let go of the need to stand taller by making someone else feel smaller. In friendships, in family, in love. Humility says, I value you as much as I value myself. That's not weakness, that's strength at its most radiant. Now pause for a breath. Feel how humility could shift the weight you've been carrying. The constant need to be right, the pressure to prove yourself, the exhaustion of comparison, it can all be put down. What if your worth didn't come from outshining others, but from living in peace with yourself? Imagine walking through your day, at work, in traffic, at home, and not needing to win every argument or display every credential. Imagine the lightness that comes when you no longer measure your value against someone else's yardstick. Humility also deepens empathy. When you're not focused on defending your own image, you're free to truly see the person in front of you. You notice their struggles, their joys, their humanity, and in seeing them, you connect more deeply. This is where humility transforms from a personal practice into a collective gift. It turns ordinary interactions into places of compassion. Take this as a gentle experiment. Tomorrow, in your conversations, try speaking a little less and listening a little more. Try letting go of the urge to prove a point. See what happens when you choose curiosity instead of competition. You might be surprised by the peace that follows, and by the way people respond when they feel truly valued. If this part of the journey resonates with you, I'd love for you to pause and share in the comments what lesson about humility speaks to you most. Your words might be the light someone else needs to hear tonight. As humility grows in us, so does a new kind of strength, the ability to trust ourselves without needing outside approval. And that brings us to the next step on this path: how not to let others control your life. 3. Don't allow others to control your life. Imagine your life as a winding trail through a vast forest. The path is yours, unique and unrepeatable. Along the way, you meet people pointing in different directions. Some insist you should go left, others swear the right path is the only safe one, and a few scoff at the road you've chosen. Their voices can be loud, persuasive, even intimidating. But here's the truth. No one else is walking in your shoes. No one else feels the ground under your feet, the weight of your pack, or the rhythm of your breath. The trail belongs to you alone. The Buddha once said, "Do not dwell in the past, do not dream of the future. Concentrate the mind on the present moment." That single teaching is a compass for this journey. It means your life cannot be lived according to the maps drawn by other people's expectations, their judgments, their advice, their criticism. These are just signposts scattered in the woods. You can glance at them, but you don't have to follow where they point. Think about the times you've let other people's opinions steer your choices. Maybe you chose a career because it sounded impressive to your parents, or stayed in a relationship longer than you should have because you didn't want others to think you failed. Maybe you stayed quiet when your heart wanted to speak because you feared disapproval. Each of those choices felt like handing the reins of your life to someone else. And every time you did, the path beneath your feet became a little less yours. But there's another way. You can take back the compass. You can learn to listen with respect, but filter with wisdom. You can weigh advice without surrendering your inner voice. When you trust yourself, you stop being tossed around by the winds of opinion. You become the captain of your own ship, steady at the helm even when the seas get rough. This doesn't mean you ignore everyone. Wisdom isn't stubbornness. It's knowing the difference between guidance that helps you grow and noise that distracts you. For example, maybe a friend offers thoughtful feedback that opens your eyes to a blind spot that's worth considering. But when someone mocks your dream just because it doesn't match their idea of success, that's not wisdom, that's projection. You don't have to carry it. There's a deep peace that comes with this shift. Imagine waking up tomorrow and realizing you don't need anyone's permission to live authentically. You don't need every decision to be approved, every step validated. That's freedom. It's the kind of freedom that lets you walk confidently even when the crowd is walking the other way. And here's the thing. People will always have opinions. Always. If you try to please everyone, you'll end up exhausted and lost. But when you anchor yourself in the present moment, when you trust your values, your intuition, your truth, the noise fades. The forest becomes quiet again. You notice the sound of your own footsteps, steady and sure, and the beauty of the journey itself. Pause for a moment and breathe that in. The relief of knowing you don't have to perform for anyone. You don't have to meet invisible standards. You don't have to chase approval that was never yours to begin with. The only voice you need to honor is the one inside, the quiet but steady guide that has been there all along. As you let that sink in, take a moment to reflect. Is there a place in your life right now where you feel pulled by other people's opinions? Is there a choice you've delayed because you fear judgment? If so, let this be your gentle nudge. Write it down, bring it into awareness, and consider what it would mean to choose from your own heart instead. And if this part of the journey is sparking something inside you, I'd love for you to share in the comments what decision you're reclaiming for yourself. It doesn't have to be big. Even the smallest choice made from your own truth is a step toward freedom. Now, once you begin to walk your own path, there's another skill that makes the journey richer. It's not just about making choices, it's about how deeply you listen along the way, because listening, in its truest form, can change everything, and that's where we're headed next. 4. Listen twice as much as you speak. Take a slow breath and think about the last conversation you had. Did you truly hear what the other person was saying, or were you just waiting for your turn to talk? Most of us fall into that trap. We're quick to respond, quick to argue, quick to add our own story, but when we speak more than we listen, we miss the deeper currents beneath the words. We miss the chance to understand. The Buddha once said, "To understand everything is to forgive everything." That wisdom points us toward listening, not just with our ears, but with our whole being. Listening in this way is more than passively hearing. It is leaning in with your heart, with your attention, with your willingness to put your own thoughts aside for a moment and really enter the world of another. Imagine how many conflicts could soften if we practiced this. Picture a heated family argument where instead of cutting each other off, someone simply says, "I want to understand you, tell me more." That moment of space, that pause, can feel like opening a window in a suffocating room. Suddenly the air shifts. People feel seen, and with that comes the possibility of peace. Listening doesn't mean agreeing with everything you hear. It doesn't mean giving up your voice. It means giving yourself the gift of perspective. It means setting aside the noise in your own head long enough to notice the feelings, the fears, the hopes hidden in someone else's words. It's a practice of presence, and presence always deepens connection. There's another layer here too. Listening extends beyond people. When you walk outside and the wind brushes through the trees, are you really hearing it? When you sit in silence, do you listen to your own breath, the quiet hum of your body, the unspoken truths rising inside you? The world is full of voices that aren't human nature. Silence, even the subtle cues in your own heart. When you learn to listen to those, life becomes richer. Think about how powerful this is in everyday life. At work, a colleague is frustrated. Instead of jumping in with solutions, you pause, let them talk, and you hear not just the problem, but the weight in their voice. That act of listening makes them feel valued. Or with a partner, instead of defending yourself in an argument, you simply let them pour out their feelings until they soften. In those moments, listening becomes the bridge that carries both of you back to connection. Listening twice as much as you speak also sharpens your own voice. When you do choose to respond, your words carry more weight because they are rooted in understanding, not impulse. A thoughtful sentence can have more impact than a flood of chatter. It's like music. If there were no rests between notes, the melody would collapse into noise. The pauses give meaning to the sound. Here's something to try tomorrow. In your next conversation, make it your goal to listen more than you talk. Notice the tone, the pace, the pauses in the other person's words. Watch their eyes, their body language. Ask yourself, what are they really telling me? Then, when you do respond, let your words come from that deeper awareness. You might be surprised at how much shifts when you do. Take a breath with me now. Listening itself can be a form of meditation, the rustle of leaves, the hum of a fan, even the silence between heartbeats. These sounds remind you that the world is always speaking if you choose to hear it. And in that listening, you find a calm that no criticism can shake. If this practice of listening speaks to you, share in the comments. What moment in your life taught you the power of being heard? Your story could remind someone else tonight that they're not alone. Listening, then, is not about shutting out the world, but opening to it so fully that the noise no longer unsettles you. And when you cultivate that depth of awareness, you begin to face even life's hardest challenges with more grace. Which brings us to the next lesson. Accepting the worst in life and finding freedom in that acceptance. 5. Accept the worst in life. There's a quiet fear that follows most of us through the day. It whispers when you check your bank account, when you wait for a doctor's call, when you see a worried look on your partner's face. What if I lose everything? What if something bad is just around the corner? These questions can weigh so heavily that even when things are going fine, you can't fully relax. Anxiety becomes like a shadow that refuses to leave. But the Buddha taught something radical. He said suffering is inevitable, but the way we hold suffering is what truly shapes our peace. Pain comes, challenges come, but clinging to the belief that life should always be easy is what makes us miserable. The truth is, storms will arrive. People we love may leave. Money may slip through our fingers. Health may change. The world itself is in constant motion, and none of us can freeze it into a perfect picture. So how do we live with that reality? The answer is to accept the worst in life, not as a surrender to despair, but as a liberation from fear. Imagine this. Before you step onto a plane, you make peace with the thought that turbulence might shake you, maybe even scare you. Once you've accepted that, the bumps don't steal your calm. You already knew they might come. You breathe through them, and you land safely without carrying hours of dread. Acceptance doesn't mean you want bad things to happen. It means you stop living in the prison of what-ifs. Every time you obsess over the possibility of loss, you suffer twice, once in your imagination, and once again, if it ever happens. By accepting that hardship is part of the deal, you cut that suffering in half. You prepare your mind to meet reality with steadiness instead of panic. Think of it like this. Life is a river. Sometimes it flows gently, and sometimes it crashes with rapids. You can't control the current, but you can learn how to swim with it. Resisting the water only exhausts you. Flowing with it lets you stay afloat. And the strange part is, when you stop fighting the possibility of hardship, you discover a strength you didn't know you had. Imagine a tough day at work, where you fear losing your job. Instead of spiraling with thoughts like, what if I fail? What if I can't pay the bills? You pause and say, even if the worst happens, I will adapt. I will find another way. That shift turns panic into resilience. It doesn't erase the challenge, but it puts the power back in your hands. This practice also strips fear of its sharp edges. The worst may still hurt, but it doesn't have to destroy your peace. Accepting impermanence means you understand that pain and joy are both temporary guests. Neither stays forever. This awareness makes you more present. You savor the good while it's here, and you endure the bad knowing it will pass. Pause for a breath. Let yourself feel the weight of this idea. Acceptance is not giving up. It's not weakness. It's courage. It's the courage to say, I don't control everything, but I can meet whatever comes with clarity. And in that clarity, fear loosens its grip. Try this small practice. Before bed tonight, write down the thing you're most afraid of right now. Then, write a single line beneath it. If this happens, I will still find my way. Notice how your body softens when you allow yourself to stop resisting. Notice how your mind feels lighter when you release the need for guarantees. If this lesson touches you, share in the comments what fear you're ready to let go of tonight. You might find that voicing it begins the process of setting it free. And once you've made peace with hardship, another challenge arises: the temptation of comfort, wealth, and success. Because sometimes the dangers aren't in what we fear, but in what we desire too much. That's the next part of our journey, being mindful of the hidden dangers of fortune. 6. Be aware of the dangers of fortune. Picture this for a moment. You've just landed a big promotion, the kind that comes with a corner office, a shiny new salary, maybe even a nicer car in the driveway. Friends congratulate you, your family beams with pride, and for a while you feel unstoppable. But after the initial rush fades, you notice something creeping in. The long hours keep you away from home. The money slips quickly into bigger bills and endless upgrades. And somewhere along the way, the joy you thought fortune would bring feels strangely hollow. The Buddha warned about this. He taught that health is the greatest gift, contentment the greatest wealth, and faithfulness the best relationship. Those words invite us to shift our focus away from chasing fortune and toward the simple treasures that actually sustain us. Wealth and comfort are not evil, but when we cling to them as if they guarantee happiness, we set ourselves up for disappointment. Think about how often success is measured in numbers, dollars in the bank, square footage of a house, likes on a post, but each of those numbers is fragile. Markets crash, houses crumble, online attention fades. When we anchor our self-worth to fortune, we tie ourselves to something that can vanish overnight. And when it does, our sense of peace collapses with it. It's not that you shouldn't enjoy what you earn. A warm meal, a safe home, a trip with friends. These are beautiful things. The danger lies in forgetting their impermanence. The danger lies in believing that more will always equal better. How many times have you thought, if I just get this one thing, I'll be happy? And how many times did that happiness fade as soon as the next desire appeared? Contentment, on the other hand, is a wealth no one can take away. Imagine sitting on your porch with a simple cup of tea, the evening air cool against your skin, and realizing you don't need anything more in that moment. That feeling, quiet and steady, is worth more than any paycheck. Because it's not tied to what's outside. It rises from within. And let's not forget relationships. All the money in the world won't comfort you the way a loyal friend does. No luxury car can give you the laughter of your child. No designer brand can replace the warmth of a hug when you feel broken. When the Buddha said faithfulness is the best relationship, he was reminding us that love and trust outshine gold every single time. Pause here for a breath. Consider your own life. Where are you chasing fortune so hard that you might be overlooking the simple gifts you already have? Is there a relationship, a daily ritual, a piece of your health that deserves more of your attention than another purchase? Try this reflection tonight. Write down 3 things money can't buy that already make your life rich. Health, time, love, friendship, whatever comes to mind. Let yourself feel gratitude for those treasures. Gratitude transforms fortune into freedom. If this part of the journey stirs, share in the comments one simple thing you're grateful for that money could never replace. Your reminder might be exactly what another listener needs to hear. Once we begin to loosen our grip on fortune, life presents us with another puzzle. It's not just about wealth and possessions. It's about what we do when we stumble, when we fail, when our path doesn't go as planned. That's where the next teaching leads us. Seeing failure not as the end, but as a stepping stone. 7. See failure as a stepping stone. Think back to the first time you learned to ride a bike. You probably didn't just hop on and glide down the street like a pro. You wobbled, tipped over, maybe scraped your knee. You fell, got up, tried again. Each fall wasn't proof that you couldn't ride. It was part of the process that eventually made you steady. Failure, in its truest form, is just another word for growth in progress. The Buddha once said, "Each morning we are born again. What we do today is what matters most." That reminder turns every setback into a fresh beginning. Yesterday's mistakes don't define you. Today is a chance to rise again, to learn, to move closer to the person you're becoming. Failure is not the opposite of success. It's the raw material out of which success is shaped. Think of life as a staircase. Some steps are smooth and easy, others are cracked and uneven. Sometimes you trip, sometimes you miss a step altogether, but each stumble teaches you how to climb better. Each misstep trains your balance. Over time, the very moments you thought were pulling you down become the stones that carried you higher. It's tempting to avoid failure at all costs. We stick to what's safe, we avoid risks, we shrink from challenges. But by doing so, we also avoid growth. You don't build resilience by never falling, you build it by falling and getting back up again. Just like muscles grow stronger under resistance, the spirit grows stronger when it meets challenges head-on. Imagine a sculptor chipping away at a block of marble. Each strike of the hammer might look destructive, but slowly, shape emerges. The mistakes, the rough edges, the cracks, they are part of the art. In the same way, your failures are shaping you into a version of yourself that is wiser, tougher, and more compassionate than you were before. Think about a time in your life when you thought, "This is the end." Maybe you lost a job, a relationship ended, or a dream fell apart. And yet, months or years later, you look back and realize that fall redirected you to something better. Maybe it gave you perspective. Maybe it introduced you to people you never would have met. Maybe it forced you to grow in ways you didn't expect. What felt like the end was actually a turning point. Pause here and let that sink in. Failure isn't proof that you're not enough. It's an invitation to keep going. Every time you rise after falling, you're rewriting the story. You're proving that your worth is not measured by perfection, but by persistence. Here's a practice to try. Tonight, write down one failure that still stings. Then ask yourself, what did this teach me? What strength did I gain? What wisdom did I uncover? You might find that the very thing you resented is the thing that carved out your resilience. And let's add a touch of humor here. Remember, toddlers don't quit walking after the first fall. Imagine if we did. Humanity would be crawling to work every morning. Falling is natural. Getting up is what transforms us. If this lesson resonates with you, share in the comments. What failure turned out to be a stepping stone in your own life? Your story might remind someone else that they are not defined by their setbacks. And now that we've embraced failure as part of the journey, there's one more truth we need to face. The reminder that all journeys, no matter how long or winding, eventually reach the same end. Our next step is to remember that death is waiting at the end of the road, and that truth changes how we live today. 8. Always remember that death is waiting at the end of the road. There's a truth most of us try to avoid, but deep down we know it's always there. One day, this journey ends. Death is waiting at the end of the road. At first, that might sound dark, even unsettling. But in Buddhism, reflecting on death isn't meant to fill us with fear, it's meant to wake us up to life. When you realize time is limited, suddenly every moment becomes more precious, every choice more meaningful, every breath more alive. Think about how easy it is to waste time when we believe life stretches endlessly before us. We spend years chasing careers we don't love, sacrificing health for money, or numbing ourselves with distractions. We say, one day I'll take that trip, one day I'll say I love you, one day I'll slow down. But if death is certain and time is uncertain, then the only day that really matters is today. The Buddha taught that remembering death isn't about despair, it's about clarity. Imagine carrying a small notebook in your pocket, not filled with tasks or to-do lists, but with reminders of what really matters. love more, argue less, take care of your body, be present. That notebook becomes a compass pointing you back to what's essential. This reflection strips away illusions. Do you really want to spend the next 20 years stressed over a house you can't take with you? Do you really want to let pride steal years from a friendship because you refuse to forgive? When you remember death, the answer becomes clear. What matters isn't what you own, but who you love, how deeply you live, and the wisdom you carry in your heart. There's a surprising kind of peace in this awareness. Instead of clinging, you learn to let go. Instead of fearing change, you accept it as natural. Instead of wasting time on petty conflicts, you choose kindness. Death reminds us that every cup of coffee, every walk in the park, every laugh with a friend is a gift. And when you see life this way, even ordinary moments shine. Pause for a breath. Let yourself feel the weight and the freedom of this truth. Life doesn't last forever, and that's what makes it so beautiful. Like autumn leaves that blaze with color before they fall, our time glows brighter because it's brief. Try this practice tonight. Before you close your eyes, whisper to yourself, if I don't wake up tomorrow, did I live today fully? Did I love, forgive, and notice the small joys around me? If the answer is yes, then death holds no terror. If the answer is no, tomorrow gives you another chance to choose differently. And here's something I'd love for you to share. In the comments, write one small way you want to live more fully, starting today. Maybe it's calling someone you miss. Maybe it's taking a walk without your phone. Maybe it's finally forgiving yourself for something in the past. Your intention could inspire someone else to live with more courage and presence. As we close this chapter, remember that death is not an enemy, but a teacher. It doesn't take meaning away from life, it gives it. And with that wisdom in your heart, you're ready to walk forward with a calmer mind, a stronger spirit, and a deeper love for the journey itself. Now that we've explored these 8 powerful lessons, let's take a moment to gather them together, to see the bigger picture they form when woven into a single path of peace and resilience. That's where we're heading next. You've walked with me through these timeless lessons, each one a small lamp along the path, reminding you not to waste your energy on hate, to carry yourself with humility, to trust your own steps, to listen deeply, to accept life's storms, to be cautious with fortune, to embrace failure as a teacher, and to live with the awareness that death gives life its urgency and beauty. As we come to the end of this journey tonight, let yourself feel the calm that comes from holding these truths gently in your heart. You don't need to memorize every word. The wisdom is already inside you, waiting to be lived in the quiet choices of each day. The moment you take a breath instead of reacting, the moment you choose kindness instead of anger, the moment you notice the sky turning gold at sunset, that is where the teachings come alive. Take another slow breath. Imagine the noise of the world fading further into the distance. You are safe. You are at peace. You are enough just as you are. Life is fleeting, but that makes this moment even more precious. If tonight's journey touched you, let me know in the comments what lesson stayed with you the most. And if you'd like more stories like this, remember to like the video, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss the next time we walk this path together. The next video will take us deeper into another layer of Zen wisdom, where we'll explore how simplicity itself can unlock freedom. But for now, there's nothing else to do, nothing else to carry. Let your eyes grow heavy. Let your body sink into the bed. Let your thoughts drift like clouds across a wide sky. The night is yours to rest in. The teachings will still be here in the morning. End of script. Sweet dreams.